Hello everyone. So now after uniform flow, let's move on to the varied flow or non-uniform flow. So we have these two types, that is gradually varied flow and rapidly varied flow. The difference is the length in which the flow is varying. So varied flow means that the flow depth, the flow properties do not remain same. So flow depth will change here over the length of the channel, and so the velocity of the flow also changes. So even for a given discharge, these things can change in these types of flow. So in our discussion, we'll keep the discharge as constant, and these things will be varying when we talk about the gradually and rapidly varied flow. So if we are talking about gradually varied flow, so it means that the flow depth is varying, but it is varying gradually. That is, it is taking a long distance for the flow depth to change considerably. Whereas in case of rapidly varied flow, this flow depth changes very rapidly. So here we'll try to understand about gradually varied flow in detail, then later we'll move on to rapidly varied flow. So earlier also I gave some example, like for when we place some obstruction. So in a natural channel also, when there is no obstruction, the flow tries to achieve the uniform flow condition, because it will, the weight of the fluid which is driving the flow here, it will try to balance with the frictional force here. So in normal circumstances, when there is no obstruction, it will try to flow at the uniform flow depth, that is the depth we call corresponding to uniform flow is normal depth. So in general circumstances, flow tries to take place in this condition. But when some obstruction is there, so or some slope change is there, slope change, obstruction, or roughness is changing of the channel. So these are the few examples when due to which the flow depth will change. That is, if we have, again, if we take this spillway of the dam here, so due to the spillway here, earlier this flow will be coming as uniform flow, then here the flow depth will try to change, gradually it will change here. So it is taking a long or large length of the channel for the flow depth to considerably change here. So that's why we name it as gradually varied flow. It can also happen when some, let's say, fall is there, like this, if fall is present. So if water is coming from here, so at this point it will try to, here it will, the depth will decrease here, and then when it falls, it will be a hydraulic jump, then again some gradually varied flow profile will come, then after that again it will try to achieve the uniform flow condition. So in this you can also understand other profiles, that is when it is very far, so in this zone it will try to have the uniform flow condition, and as we reaching this fall, so after that it will be having this gradually varied flow condition, then in this zone it will be having rapidly varied flow, then again gradually varied flow, and at last it will try to again achieve the uniform flow conditions. So that's how the flow varies in the channel. So uniform flow already we have covered. Now we are trying to study about this gradually varied flow. So in gradually varied flow, what we are interested to find out most of the time, if we can find out how this water surface profile will vary due to the obstruction or due to the change in slope or whatever is the reason, then we can understand the behavior. So this is the first step, that is finding the water surface profile. Then we need some control points, and with the help of these control points we can decide or find the flow and depth at some known location, and from that, step by step, we can find out the other flow depths. So that's how we do the analysis. Now other thing is that in case of uniform flow, we were getting, like, if this was the surface and this was the water surface, so above that we had this energy line. So all these slopes, that is bed slope, and the slope of the water surface as well as the energy slope, all these slopes were equal when we are talking about the uniform flow. But in this case, these slopes will not be equal. That is, the bed slope, if it is S naught, so this energy line slope SF, it will be different than the bed slope. So the reason is obviously because the flow depth is changing and the velocity is also changing. So depending upon that, the slope will change at different sections. So there are some important assumptions what we follow in gradually varied flow. So let's see that first. Based upon that, we'll do the analysis. So the first assumption we have is pressure distribution is assumed as hydrostatic. So for initially also when we talked about the hydrostatic or the pressure distribution in open channel flow, so we talked about this term, that is the normal acceleration. So this normal acceleration we defined as v square upon r, and according to Euler's equation we had this del by del n p plus gamma z, and that was equal to rho a n. So when we said that the streamlines are straight or the velocity is zero, so velocity is zero when the flow is still and streamlines are straight when we are talking about the uniform flow condition. So in those cases this normal acceleration becomes zero, and then we take this hydrostatic pressure distribution, that is P by gamma plus Z is equal to a constant. So that is for uniform flow when the streamlines are straight. Now if we compare for the gradually varied flow, so in gradually varied flow obviously some curvature will be there in the streamline, that is some curvature will be present, but the radius of curvature what is there in this case also, this radius of curvature will still be very large, because as we are saying that this depth which changes in case of gradually varied flow, the change in depth is very gradual. So due to this gradual change in depth, this radius of curvature will still be very large. So we can assume the pressure distribution here also as hydrostatic. Another thing is that when we talk about gradually varied flow, that is, as I said, this change in depth is taking over very large distance, that is in kilometers. So when we do the analysis here, we do not do, we will not select a control volume which is having a very large length. We will be considering a differential control volume, that is of some small length dx. So based upon that, in this small length, not much change will be happening in the depth. So obviously we can treat the pressure distribution to be hydrostatic. So that's how, that's the logic behind treating the distribution as hydrostatic. Then let's see the next assumption. So it says the resistance to flow at any location is assumed to be given by the corresponding uniform flow equation. So in case of uniform flow, we give this velocity with the Manning's equation, that is 1 by n r to the power 2 by 3 and s naught to the power 1 by 2. And we know in case of uniform flow, this s naught, which is generally the bed slope, but it is also the energy slope, that is the slope of the energy line. So with the help of this energy slope, I'm trying to, so this slope tells us about the head loss, that is because if we have this flow, so this, how this slope is there, that is if slope is less or slope is more, that will tell us obviously about the head loss. If we talk about the slope of the energy line, so we can say that in case of uniform flow, this is the equation. With the help of this slope, we get the idea about head loss which is taking place. Now, it is saying, this assumption is saying that even in case of gradually varied flow, the resistance to flow is assumed to be given by the corresponding uniform flow equation. So that is, instead of using the bed slope now, in case of gradually varied flow, we can understand the head loss with the help of this equation only, and here we will be using the friction slope or the slope of the energy line. So based upon these two assumptions, we can find out the differential equation for gradually varied flow. So if this is the datum here, so corresponding to that, we can write the total energy at this location. So that would be Z plus Y plus V square upon 2G. So we can take alpha here, that is the kinetic energy correction factor, but we are assuming alpha to be 1. Then if we differentiate it with respect to x, so x is the direction along the channel length. So we can write dh by dx is equal to dz by dx plus dy by dx plus d by dx into v square upon 2g. Now what are these terms here? Let's see. This dh by dx will tell what? H is the total energy, and this total energy is changing in the x direction. So dh by dx is nothing but the slope of this total energy line. dh by dx is the slope of the total energy line, or TEL. So when we talk about this open channel, so obviously this total energy is decreasing as this x is increasing, so it will always be negative. So what we do here in this analysis, we treat this decreasing slope as positive. Decreasing slope as positive because all of the time it will be decreasing. So we can write we can replace dh by dx is equal to minus SF rather than plus SF, taking decreasing as positive. Now next term we have is dz by dx. So dz by dx is the, z from here we measure. So z is nothing but the height of this channel bed from this datum. So dz by dx will give the slope of the channel bed. So dz by dx is the channel bottom slope. Again, as we have taken the decreasing friction slope as positive, so for this also we can write dz by dx is equal to minus S naught. So when we put a negative value, that is, obviously this slope is negative, so when we put a negative value, so it will become positive. That's what the idea is. And next term then we have is dy by dx. So y is this location of the channel, water surface in the channel. So dy by dx is nothing but the water surface slope. Water surface slope is dy by dx, and that's what we want to find out. If we know how this slope is varying, then we can understand the profile of the surface. Then we can see what to do with this term here. So we have d by dx v square upon 2g. So for a given discharge, we can write it as d by dx q square upon 2g a square, and then we can break it as d upon dy q square upon 2g a square multiplied by dy by dx. So this discharge will be constant and the depth y will only vary, and then we can write it as minus 2q square upon 2ga cube dA upon dy but multiplied by dy by dx. So then 2 will cancel out, and dA upon dy, again if we have some channel and if we take a small strip, this top width is t and small strip of thickness ty, so we will get dA is equal to t into dy, and from that we get dA upon dy is equal to t, so we get minus q square upon ga cube into t multiplied by dy by dx. That is the value of t by dx v square upon 2g. So of all these values that we have obtained, friction slope, bed slope, all we can put in this equation. So we have the equation as dh by dx is equal to dz by dx plus dy by dx plus t by dx v square upon 2g. So we can put these values. dh by dx is minus s f and dz by dx is minus s naught, plus dy by dx, what we are interested to find out, minus q square t upon g a cube dy by dx. So by rearranging the terms, we get dy by dx is equal to s naught minus sf divided by 1 minus q square t upon g a cube. So that is the differential equation for gradually varied flow. And then there can be, it can be written in another form. So this q square t upon g a cube is nothing but the Froude number square. So for q square t upon g a cube, we can also write q by a is v. So v square t upon g a. So that we can write as v square upon g into a by t, and if we take the square root of it, so that is v upon under root g a by t, and this a by t is the hydraulic depth, and this ratio we know it is Froude number. So this term here is Froude number square. So we can write this equation as dy by dx is equal to s naught minus sf divided by 1 minus Froude number square. So this is another form of the equation. Now let's see one specific form of this equation by selecting the wide rectangular channel. For a wide, we have for a wide rectangular channel, so that is this b is the bed width and y is the flow depth. So here we are assuming that this bed width is much greater than the flow depth. So area of flow is equal to by, and perimeter would be equal to b plus 2y, but this y, as we are saying that it is very small, so we can approximate p is equal to b, and from that if we find out the hydraulic radius, so that would be by upon p, so that is equal to y. So we get r is equal to y for a wide rectangular channel. Then from the Manning's equation, we can write q is equal to 1 by n a r to the power 2 by 3 s to the power 1 by 2. So r is equal to y and a is equal to by. So we can write q is equal to 1 by n b y to the power 5 by 3 s to the power 1 by 2. Now if we talk about the uniform flow, so for uniform flow, the friction slope and bed slope are same, that is sf is equal to fb, and the depth at which the uniform flow takes place will be normal depth, so we can denote it with yn. So we can put these values. So q we get as 1 by n, b yn to the power 5 by 3 s naught, as we have taken s naught to the power 1 by 2. And for gradually varied flow, this slope we take as friction slope or slope of the energy line, and let's say in that case we take the flow depth to be y. So we can write the same equation, q is equal to 1 by n b y to the power 5 by 3 and sf to the power 1 by 2. Then we can divide these two equations. Q is obviously same in both the cases, only the flow depth and the slope is changing. Width is also same and the roughness coefficient is also same. So by dividing the two equations, we can write sf upon s naught to the power 1 by 2 will be equal to yn upon y to the power 5 by 3, and from that we get sf by s naught is equal to yn upon y to the power 10 by 3. Now we had this differential equation as dy by dx is equal to s naught minus sf divided by 1 minus q square t upon g a cube. So in the numerator we can take s naught as common. So s naught 1 minus sf upon s naught. Then we can put this value in this equation. So we get dy by dx is equal to s naught 1 minus y and upon y to the power 10 by 3 divided by 1 minus Now this term also we can manipulate. So for q square t upon g a cube, we can write for wide rectangular channel, this is q square, top width is b, and this is g, a is by, so b cube y cube. So we can write small q instead of capital Q by b. So that is, I mean, the flow per unit width. So q square, this one will cancel out, upon g by q. Now q square upon g, if you remember the relation for critical flow in rectangular channel, we get yc as q square upon g to the power 1 by 3. So from that we can write q square upon g as yc cube. So this term would become yc upon y whole cube, the value of this term here, q square t upon g a cube. So we can replace it here, that is yc upon y whole cube. We'll be using this equation to understand the flow profiles in various cases. So here we have obtained this equation with the help of Manning's formula, and if we use the Chezy's formula, so in that case we get the equation as s naught 1 minus yn upon y whole cube divided by 1 minus yc upon y cube. So we can use any of these two equations to understand the flow profiles. So after this, we'll see the various flow profiles in gradually varying flow.